Do you see what I see? With the August sun on his back, Deputy Sheriff Henry Lee Jones cast not only a large shadow on the Nissan Maxima he was approaching, but on all the residents of Harrison County. He took off his aviator-style sunglasses on his pale white face that had the texture of sandpaper. As he approached the driver's side window, his dark blue eyes scanned the interior of the car. He noticed a black man with dreadlocks in the driver's seat and a female companion with her hair in a ponytail in the passenger seat. Henry unbuttoned his holster and had his right hand hovering over his service revolver. As he leaned over and got a good look, he realized the female passenger had her phone out recording him. "License and registration," Henry Lee commanded. Facing the sun, the driver used his left hand to shield his almond-colored eyes from the unforgiving sun. The baby-faced young man with dark skin covered with pimples carefully reached his right hand into the glove compartment to retrieve the documents. Then he scrunched his face, handed the officer the documents, and asked, "What are you pulling me over for?" "The tint on your vehicle is too dark," he replied, looking over his license. "Tinted windows? Wow," the driver said, shaking his head with a sarcastic grin. "The law is the law," Henry Lee said. "Where are you heading?" The female passenger leaned forward with her head tilted to the side. Her hazel eyes were shooting darts at the sheriff. Annoyed, she pushed out a breath and interjected, "Why does that matter? If you gonna give us a ticket, just give us a ticket." "Ma'am, I'm in the middle of an investigation. I need you to put down your phone and place your hands on the dashboard where I can see them." "What investigation? I didn't do anything." "You broke the law, sir, and you two are acting suspicious. Now, do you have any drugs or guns in the vehicle?" "No." "What does any of this have to do with tinted windows?" "Ma'am, I'm only going to tell you this one last time. Put down that phone and place your hands on the dashboard." "I'm not putting down my phone. I know my rights. What's your badge number and the name of your supervisor?" "Control, this is Unit 856. I have a 38.03 in progress. Officer needs assistance." "I'm placing you two under arrest. Take your keys out the ignition and toss them out the window. Then get out the car with your hands up, slowly." The couple looked at each other in shock. "What are you arresting us for?" "Refusing to obey orders. Now get out the car." The driver took the keys out the ignition and tossed them on the street. He unbuckled his seatbelt and opened the car door to get out. Then the lady extended her arm, restricting his movement. "You don't have to go nowhere, baby. We have rights. We want to speak to a supervisor." "Get out the car now!" Henry Lee shouted, inching closer, as his gun went back and forth between both of them. They both sat there, with the lady continuing to record. "One last time, get out the car!" Henry Lee screamed as he moved closer and grabbed the man's arm, trying to forcefully remove him. The woman grabbed his other arm, trying to help him stay in. It was a tug of war. Henry Lee pressed his weapon against the man's chest, continuing to shout. The man jerked his arm away from his grip. His momentum carried him toward the console. When Henry saw his left hand touch the bottom of the console where you open it, he fired. 2 shots to the chest. His white t-shirt was instantly drenched in blood. In shock, the driver grabbed his chest and stared at Henry Lee in disbelief while sliding down in his seat. "Oh my God! Are you fucking crazy? You shot him! Jerome! Baby! You okay?" "I told you to get out the damn vehicle! You people never listen! You need to learn respect for authority!" "Let me go!" "Jasmine Jackson, you are under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. If you give up the right to remain silent, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you can't afford one, one will be assigned to you by the courts. Do you understand these rights?" "Where were those rights at when you were killing Jerome? And what the hell am I even been charged for? We didn't do nothing." "Control, this is Unit 856 again. There was an officer involved shooting. You might want to send an ambulance with that backup." Jasmine was processed. Then she made bail and was led into the lobby to find her parents rushing toward her. Her mother moved in first. wrapping her arms around Jasmine like only a mother can, and squeezing as much love as she possibly could into her. Her father, a man of size, joined in on the hug, kissing Jasmine on the forehead. "You all right, baby girl?" the father asked, wiping the tears from Jasmine's eyes. His bloodshot eyes looked in the direction of the cops that were staring at his family. If looks could kill, this police station would have a massacre on their hands. "I just want to go home," Jasmine said as the tears continued to flow. Her mother put an arm around her shoulder and led Jasmine to the exit. "Don't worry, baby girl. These motherfuckers are gonna pay for fucking with my daughter. They gonna pay for killing Jerome." "Is that a threat, boy? I got your boy!" "Bruce, don't throw your life away on a man who's not worth it. His day will come." "Who are you?" "I am Marlene Brown, the grandmother of the young man you just killed." Henry Lee stood silent as his chest went in and out with every deep breath he took. Placing his hands on his hips, he looked around as if he was waiting for some of his fellow officers to escort her out the building. Miss Brown pointed her finger at Henry Lee's chest and stated, "I don't think you have any idea what you took from us, but people like you rarely do. You don't see us as humans just like you, with a family that loves and cares for us just like you. People who work hard, sacrifice, and deal with loss like anybody else. You better pray to God that somebody don't see you the same way as you see us, because the world has a funny way of giving you the pain that you deserve." "I think it's time that y'all leave," Henry Lee suggested. Jasmine and her mother pulled on her father's arm and said, "Come on, Daddy, I just want to go home." 2 weeks later, Henry Lee strutted into the office of Clarence Jackson, the first black man to be elected sheriff of Harrison County. Clarence was a lot like Henry Lee. They were both tall, stocky, and good old country boys that grew up around the way. They even went to school together and played football for the state champion Tigers. Clarence was the running back and Henry Lee linebacker. Henry Lee took a seat and stared at his dark-skinned, gray-haired boss. "Internal Affairs cleared the shooting. The DA won't be charging you, and you have been cleared to return to active duty as of Monday morning." I knew it was a good shoot. "Looks like you got a lot of friends in the right places." "Well, Clarence, like I've always told you, this is my town, and these are my people. You might do well to remember that. These people can't see you for who you really are, but I can. And regardless what that bullshit report said, we both know the truth. The truth is, these ghetto hip-hop thugs better learn to do as they told, or stay the hell out of Harrison County. That kid you shot, Jerome Johnson, he just graduated college with an engineering degree. He volunteered at the homeless shelter on the weekends, and he was an usher at his church. He was gonna marry the woman you manhandled. But hey, all black guys are thugs, right? The law is the law. If he followed my instructions, he'd be alive," Henry Lee responded, shooting Clarence a cold glare. Clarence stood up straight and softened his voice. "Damn it, Henry, it's tinted windows. Tinted windows. That shouldn't cost a kid his life. What if it were your kid?" "My son doesn't break the law," Henry Lee said with a smirk as he snatched up his paperwork and left the office without a drop of remorse. Henry Lee hopped in his old pickup truck and tossed the file in the passenger seat. Grabbing a can of Copenhagen snuff from the console, he pinched off a piece and shoved it in his gums. Looking around the small downtown area with people strolling about, and thought of himself as their protector. "Gotta keep my town pure," he thought to himself as he drove home with a grin. He pulled up to his battered-looking house with an American and MAGA flag flying out front. His brown German Shepherd sprinted through his gravel-filled yard to greet him soon as he opened the truck door. He played with him a bit before heading into the house. He had an older frame house with a big porch and 2 rocking chairs out front. Grabbing the screen door, he stepped inside to find his son, Jesse, in the kitchen fixing himself a sandwich. He strolled through the living room, stopping to pick up and kiss the picture of his late wife, Ava. It was an old wedding picture. He loved remembering her for the beautiful woman she was, not the one cancer-riddled woman that wasted away. He carefully placed it back on the china cabinet next to a commemorative plate of Elvis Presley. "How's my boy?" Henry Lee said. "You're in a good mood," Jesse replied with a crooked smile. "You're damn right. I was cleared of that shooting. I'm back to work," Henry Lee said as he put down his skinny little boy. Then he rubbed Jesse's baby face like normal, teasing him because he didn't have enough hair to shave yet. That's great news, Pop, Jesse said, shaking his hand. You should have never been suspended in the first place. Damn right, Henry Lee said as he cracked open the refrigerator and grabbed a cold beer. He unbuttoned his shirt, scratched his balls, and took a swig. So, what you been up to today? Remember I told you that I had an interview? Jesse replied, trying to hold back a smile. Oh yeah, how did it go? Jesse's gray eyes lit up, and he held out his arms and announced, "You're looking at the new associate for Bradford and Stratton." That's my boy, Henry Lee said proudly, pulling Jesse into a hug. He put his hands on his shoulders. First, you graduated from college. Now you got the career you always wanted. I'm so proud of you, son, and your mom will be proud of you too. Thanks, Pop. Well, it's been a long day. I'm gonna kick back and relax. You going anywhere? I don't think so, Jesse said with a shrug. With that response, Henry Lee went into the living room, continuing to drink his beer. He plopped down on the couch, watching the evening news. After a couple of more beers, he dozed off. Suddenly, at 3 o'clock in the morning, his phone rang. Shaking off the cobwebs, Henry Lee Jones answered. Yeah? Henry, you better get down here. There's been an incident with your son, said Clarence Jackson on the other end of the line. What are you talking about? Jesse is here, Henry Lee Jones replied, getting off the couch and stumbling to his feet. He called out, Jesse! Jesse! No answer. He went to the window and looked for Jesse's car in the driveway. It was gone. Scratching the back of his head in confusion, Henry Lee Jones put the phone back to his face and said, What happened with my son? I'll explain it to you when you get here, Clarence Jackson said. The hell with that, just tell me what happened. There was a short pause before Clarence finally answered. Jesse was shot. Before Clarence Jackson could finish his sentence, Henry Lee Jones had dropped the phone, grabbed his keys, and was in his old pickup truck heading to police headquarters. Breath reeking of beer and hair uncombed, Henry Lee Jones barged into Clarence Jackson's office. He got in Clarence Jackson's face and demanded to know what happened. Clarence Jackson's eyes were looking everywhere except at Henry Lee Jones. Clarence Jackson swallowed hard before the words slowly creeped out his mouth. Jesse was pulled over by Highway Patrol in Johnson County. Something happened during the stop. He was shot. He didn't make it. I'm sorry. Henry Lee Jones's legs buckled as an unspeakable pain overtook his body, crippling him with grief. His mouth was moving, but no words came out. It was like he was searching for words, but couldn't find any. Clarence grabbed his arms and helped him into one of the armchairs. He gave Henry Lee a compassionate touch on the shoulder. Henry Lee started to hyperventilate. In between each breath, he managed to push out the words, "My boy is dead?" "I'm so sorry, Henry," Clarence uttered with his head bowed. The tears started streaming down from his closed eyes. He leaned forward and buried his head in his hands. His voice began to tremble as he said, "I don't understand. He's a good kid. He just graduated from college. He had a bright future. How could this happen?" "I asked the Johnson County Sheriff for a copy of the vest camera. He says he's sending it over soon as it's processed," Clarence added. "I'm not leaving this office until I see that footage." Over the next few hours, Clarence was working the phones trying to expedite that footage. He called in every favor. He spoke to everyone from the mayor to the governor to get a copy of that video. And true to his word, Henry Lee never moved from that chair in Clarence's office. He just sat there with a catatonic look on his face. Finally, about 9 a.m. the next morning, the footage arrived by special carrier. Clarence pulled out a laptop and put in the flash drive. Then he pulled up a seat next to Henry Lee and pushed play on the video. "Good evening. License and registration, please." "Why you pull me over?" "You failed to signal when changing lanes." "Failed to signal? Wow." "The law is the law, sir, and you broke it. Do you have any guns or drugs in the vehicle?" "No!" "Where you heading?" "Why? What does this have to do with me failing to signal?" "Because you're acting very suspicious, like you have something to hide." "Something to hide? I didn't do anything. Unreal. I'm calling my father." "Sir, I'ma need you to calm down. Matter of fact, take your keys out the ignition and keep your hands on the steering wheel where I can see them." "If you're gonna give me a ticket, just give me the damn ticket. I'm conducting an investigation, and I gave you an order that you're required to follow. Now take the keys out the ignition and keep your hands on the steering wheel where I can see them. This is bullshit. I want your badge number and the name of your supervisor. My father is a cop. I know my rights. Henry Lee continued to watch as the officer called for backup and commanded Jesse out of the vehicle. But Jesse said, "No, I demand to speak to a supervisor." "Get out the car," the officer shouted as he yanked the door open and grabbed Jesse by the arm. Jesse resisted. A violent scuffle ensued as Jesse twisted and turned to avoid getting pulled out the car. Then Jesse reached across the car, maybe to grab the other door handle, or maybe to reach into the glove compartment. It didn't matter, because soon as he made the motion, the officer shot him in the chest. Henry was furious after watching the footage. He picked up the laptop and slammed it into the floor. "I want that motherfucker's ass!" "I know, but please try to stay calm," Clarence said with his palms down, slowly moving closer. "He didn't have to kill him. He could have just given him the damn ticket." "That's not what you said before." "What?" Henry Lee said, looking confused. Clarence's words temporarily snapped him out of his anger. Clarence got up slowly and took a deep breath. He rubbed his chin and calmly revealed, "That traffic stop looked identical to the one you had. I know you don't want to hear this right now, but he responded the same way you did. Remember what you said? The law is the law. If he did as he was told, he'd be alive. It looks like your son was in the same scenario." Henry Lee shook his head in denial. He pointed at his chest while yelling, "But this is different. That's my boy." "I know," Clarence said, shaking his head in agreement. "I know. But Jerome Johnson was somebody's son too. And when I met with that family, they wanted your ass just like you want his." Henry Lee bit down on his bottom lip and closed his eyes in disgust. Then he remembered what the old lady said. The world has a funny way of giving you the pain that you deserve. For the first time in his career, in his life, Henry Lee finally saw things from the other side. He remembered the faces of the family in the station after he shot Jerome Johnson. He remembered the tears in the eyes of Jasmine, her mother and father, the pain that was in the face of Marlene Brown. He now had those same tears. Their pain was now his pain. Their anger was his anger. Their outrage was his outrage. Sitting there for what seemed an eternity, it finally hit him. When he opened his eyes again, he looked at Clarence, and with a magnanimous voice he proclaimed, "I get it. The end."